Hey, this is Kevin from findeCommerce.com. Today's lesson is all about pivot tables. Can you pivot? So in running websites, you've got to know how to explore your data, understand it, and make decisions to better your online business. So let's jump right into it. Okay, so I downloaded a bunch of data for our fake bike shop website. And this is what data would look like from a shopping cart vendor or from Google Analytics if you're looking at product sales data. It's just a ton of data if you're looking at 2014 sales. You know, you've got product numbers, product names, revenue units, sales by country. So if you want to understand the data, pivot tables can be helpful. You just would select the data set. So I'm going to start with month, and you can either drag your mouse over the data, or I just use Control Shift and arrow keys to kind of select it quickly, right? Then I go to Insert, Excel 2010, Pivot Table. I don't even have to understand what this means, so just click OK. And I get this empty box, this pivot table. So next up, I want to look at just sales by month. So I click on Revenue, and I drag month over here into row labels. That gives me a vertical view of the data. If I wanted horizontal, I could have put it in the column labels. But instead, let's look at it vertically. So first thing I'm going to do is just format the numbers a little bit. So I left click, value field settings, number format. So let's make this currency just so it's easier to read. Okay, so now my bike shop data, total sales by month, has some interesting trends already. I can see that in July and August, those are great selling months. Summer's a good time to ride a bike. And whoa, December, sales are fantastic. Bikes make a great gift. Okay, so I've learned lesson number one. Now I'm going to say, let's take it a step further. What else can I learn from this data? Let me throw month up in the column label section so it's horizontal, and bring in country. Okay. Now I've got my totals kind of out of order here. I like to see the biggest earner on top. So I just click in grand total, go to data, and just sort it, right? Okay, so the US is my biggest market, followed by Germany and then the UK. So sometimes it's hard to spot trends just by looking at numbers. So let me right click over here and insert a tab. Okay, now I'm just gonna click up here and Control C, copy the data. Click up here, Control V, paste it. So now the data is still in a pivot table, but it took over the formatting. So if I right click, paste special, values, what that does is now I've ripped it out of the pivot table, and pure data is easier to graph. So, now I don't want to graph my totals. I could, but really what I want to look at is sales by country. So I just highlight that piece of it, right? So I'm going to insert a line graph instead of columns. I like the line graph for this view. Just a standard line graph. If I want a title, just throw it in there, right? Sales by country. Okay. So now, what have we learned in our graph? Well, let's see here. We've learned that, July, August are good selling months. December's a good selling month. But wow, Germany in August took a huge dip. So I had to call the sales guys to find out that a massive storm in August killed bike sales in Germany for that month. And so if I'm forecasting inventory, maybe that's a one-time event where next year in August, I'll still order a good amount of inventory and hope for good weather. So now if we go back to the tab with our pivot table and see what else we can learn, maybe now I'm thinking more about forecasting inventory. So instead of revenue, I'm going to look at units. And again, way easier if you format your data just so it looks like a number, right? So I want a comma, no decimal places to look at units. Okay, and again, click in grand total and kind of just sort it, right? Biggest on top. Okay, so now I want to look at, let's see here, products. And so now I see product sales by country. Okay, so let me throw country up here for a minute in the report filter just to get it out of my way. Because in products, I don't really want to look at bike helmets right now. I just want to look at bike sales. So, I click that little drop down, unselect everything, and blue, green, pink, red bike. Okay. So now I've got, blue bike is my best seller by far, followed by green and pink and so on. But I have a warehouse in each country I do business in. So if there's a different trend by country, I need to know about it. So I drag country back and take a look. And now, again, just sort it to make it easier to read. And so in the US, red and blue bikes are great sellers. In Germany, green bike is a great seller. In the US, it's my worst seller. In the United Kingdom, blue and pink bikes are the big sellers, with blue far and away being larger. So, there I've learned how to forecast inventory for each warehouse differently just by using a pivot table. So this is kind of just a high-level flyover of pivot tables. And I'll post more videos, getting into deeper aspects of understanding your data. I'll also put on my website, findecommerce.com, the data set I'm using in case you want to practice with it. Thank you very much.